Oh, welcome. My name's Steve Walters. I want to show you how we do our end assemblies at Walters Fencing. Right, let's get into it. Righto, on this job, we've got a gateway. We're using 100 NB posts today. We've got our 50 NB tie back stay assembly. So, they're the main components. We drive these posts, so these are all 2.4 long, 8 foot. We drive them in. You can see down here we've got a cut off part of a star post, so we drive that as far into the ground as we can get it, and then we cut the top. Because this is a gateway that we've welded, we actually weld that pin post to the bottom of the post. So what that does is really anchor this post into the ground. The next part is we connect our stay. So in here we've got a 12mm hole that our stay point goes into in the end of the 50mm pipe. Down here we've got another 12mm hole that we put the threaded rod into, and then we actually have a nut setter that we can get that nut on in the inside of the post. So that's this end all secure down to the base of the stay. So we've got our stay pad that's made to our specifications, 600 by 450, 2 inches thick, big heavy sucker that's going to sit there and just sit and sit and sit. Not going to break, not going to rot, not going to burn, and it's not going to sink. Here we have a laser cut end to our stay. The stay rod, you'll notice, comes out right out of the middle of the stay, which means that when this really loads up under pressure, it's not flexing this stay at all. So rock solid. And we've just trimmed the edge of the threaded rod there to make it look neat. This end assembly looks pretty sad and sorry. It's 23 years since I put this one. So what I want to show you is the evolution of our stay system. So you can see here, same 2-inch rod, we haven't changed that. Timber post, obviously we've changed that. This one has a double wire 2.8 tie back. You can see this end, we had a pin that we welded on, and then this is actually an old plough disc. So we had a few laying around at the time. The wire runs around the bottom, tensions it all up. You can see how far into the ground the plough disc has sunk, because it's only supported on the outside, so it can travel down into the soil until it's got full support underneath, and then it doesn't go any deeper. But the combination of that, the wire bedding in, and a little bit of stretch meant that this whole end assembly, if you look at it from side on, it's just leant back probably 6 inches off square, which means that gate, which is now completely buggered, cocked up into the air. So the other downside with the timber post, when you're using whole posts, that we found out about, this sapwood tends to rot off pretty quickly, so you lose the diameter of the timber post in the ground, and it helps to let that post release from the ground and jack out. I guess the fence is still standing. So yeah, we had a look at this one. Yeah, 25 years old. This one next to it was on a new line, so this one's probably only 19 years old. But you can see we've already changed how we did things. We're still using the timber post, still got the stay, but this is one of our really early concrete pads. You can actually see it's probably, the rocks showing through there. There'd be no Rio in this, but you can tell how little that has sunk into the ground compared to the plough disc. So you've got full contact on the soil straight away. So yeah, 18 years, something like that. You can also see under here, we used to weld a little bit of threaded rod on the end to make it a little bit easier for us. And this one, we've actually come right through the post. So that was the start of using the threaded rod. This is probably the original ground level, so it'd be at least 5 foot high now. You can see how it's sort of kicked up the fence is a lot lower. So this is probably lifted 6 inches out of the ground. And what it does is the sapwood starts to rot in the ground, it becomes loose, and it can then sort of just slowly lift its way out. One of the reasons we don't use timber anymore. Okay, evolution of the end assembly. About 14 years ago we put this end assembly in, and you can see the other side, double gates and a panel. This end assembly actually failed. It popped out of the ground. So about 2 years ago we took the lid off, which used to be a gal plate. We drove it back in, and you can see now we've put in our tie down post. So even if these do fail, you can actually pull them back with a tractor or similar, drive them back in if you can, and then pin them, and then yeah, good to go. So 2 years old, looking sweet. One thing I will mention is when we used to do these and weld this rod on, when we were using black post, we didn't have a lot of failure, but when we switched over to the threaded threaded zinc rod, this became a real weak spot, and we've had probably 20 of those fail. So that was the thing that drove us to working out how to put a nut on the inside of the strainer post. Right, that's enough of me just pointing at stuff. What we're going to do now is show you actually putting in strainer posts and putting stays on, and I'll talk over the top and try and show you the points that I want to make. So I'm just going to run you through and show you how we do it. So this driver trailer, at the back we've got a little camera. So Max is in the Iveco. He can actually use that camera to reverse right back onto the point. So you can see all the tools are here, all our setup, our driver for the pin post. We've got a rack for the stays, and we put strainer posts on the back as well. We've got our driver, which has the guide and the clamps to hold the post straight. Righto, let's into it. Guides clamp that post in. Now we can level it all up. The cap up the top sits internally into the post. So the beauty of this, you notice that Max isn't trying to move that post around at all. He's completely separate, remote controlled, hydraulic. He doesn't have to get in there with a bar and try and move that post around like we did in the old days. We don't have to drill a hole, it's just driven straight into the ground. This one's going in about 1200 deep. So you can see here, this post is held at this clamp and at the bottom, so we can move that around using the weight of the trailer. If that hits a rock and skews off, we can hold it with all this hydraulic power instead of just hanging onto it ourselves. If you come around this side, so we've got a level down here that we can make sure the mast is all nice and straight, and then we check it with the other level as we go. Right, so post is in, nice and tight, no deformation of the top, so there's no bulging, so a cap will fit on it really nicely. So the next bit is fitting our stay. You can see I've got a post here ready to go in. This is our pin post, so we're going to drive that in full length or until we hit, until it buries itself in rock. In this case, this is a corner post, so we're going to put a stay out into this direction. Max has driven the post in. pretty much full depth. We use the electric jackhammer just because we've got power here and we don't have air. You could either use a air driver or a Christie post driver, or we just choose to use the electric. The point is we need to get that post in really nice and deep at a slight angle, about 10 to 15% off the angle of the strainer post. So we wet down before we weld or cut, and then we've also got a fire extinguisher on the vehicle if anything happens. But yeah, play it safe, get rid of all your combustibles before you go ahead. Okay, so we've cut the post off. Now we're going to line the stay up, drill the stay holes. So this is sort of our third generation, but basically it has a top spot, so it sits everything at the right height. We have two bosses here that we use to locate our holes, and then we put a nut on the nut locator, and that sits down on the inside so that we can screw the threaded rod in. This weird looking piece of gear is just a drill press. So it hooks around the post, we can put the drill in there, and then as we push it forward it helps give us a mechanical advantage on the drill. Okay, so now Max is lining up the threaded rod with the nut. We screw that in until it takes and then push it fully forward. Keep screwing until it pulls the nut out of the nut setter. So there, nut on the inside of the post. So now we're finished with the nut setter. Okay, so this is our stay. You can see on the bottom we've got a plate welded onto it, and we've got a press that punches out the hole. So the rod just slides in through there and out through the hole. So the threaded rod's through. Now we're going to put the nut on. Just roll that on there so it's right to go. Max then stands it up. So we normally come down a little bit below the hole. We've got our two piece, one nice and shiny, one not so shiny. So they just slot together, go into the end of the post like that, put it in. Right, Max is now winding the nut up the threaded rod, and then we've got a little podge tool just to tighten that up. Now you can see as the stay rod tightens, everything pulls in together, and it's actually pushing that post back. So it's now right, bubbles right up to the line, so it's actually leaning back probably about 25mm off vertical. So once that all settles in, pad settles, everything takes up, this post should be spot on vertical and stay there. Okay, now we attach the pin post to the bottom of the strainer post. So to do that we've had some plates cut, laser cut with 3 holes in them. So we put a Tek screw into the star post and then 2 Tek screws into the strainer post. Okay, job done. So as fencing contractors, it's our job to get that end assembly in and make sure it doesn't move, and we don't want to be coming back and fixing it, and it's going to stay where we put it, and then we can go home. That'll bring us to the end of this week. So if you click on that red button to subscribe, appreciate it. Next episode we're going to be talking about gates and panels, how to swing them, how to get them all looking neat and schmick. You need I don't know what I can say. You go and do it. Now we're going to show you how to do the stay. No, it's the post and the stay, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, today, right, now we're going to show you actually. G'day. G'day, my name's Walters.